um, I'm going to, I guess, introduce myself. My name is Chris Torella. This is my 14th year as a full-time instructor at Niagara County Community College. I'm an associate's professor. Well, it's my 14th year at NTRIP. I have been teaching math much longer than that. I taught many, many years at the secondary level, and I was also an adjunct at Erie County Community College for several years. So I guess I've been teaching math longer than most of you folks have been. So way much longer than most of you folks have been. So hopefully I have enough experience that, I can, but hopefully I'm not that old that I'm not set in my ways that I can, adapt to whatever you folks need. Last semester, when I taught the blended class, every class meeting, we did meet on Zoom. And what I'm going to do, what I have in front of me, what I'm talking to you through is a Surface that I borrowed from the college. And so I will eventually share my screen and use the touch screen that I can write on the same way I would use the whiteboard or the document camera in the classroom and give notes the way I would in class. I'm going to try to make it as much like an in-class experience for you folks as I possibly can. What I miss most about teaching a blended class through Zoom was not seeing the students. I miss seeing everybody's faces, and I don't know if you realize, but for me, from the faculty end, if you talk to any group of teachers, that's a really big loss for us, especially in math, because in a classroom setting, if I'm writing on the document camera, if I'm writing on the dry erase board, after I go over something, I can always take the time to look up and look at everybody's faces. And even when I don't know you real well, I can tell by your facial expressions whether you're getting it or not. And I don't get the feedback anymore. And so I'm going to be begging you all semester long to please give me feedback. Please participate. If I ever go over anything in class, please, and it's not clear to you, please unmute yourself and ask a question. That's, I think that by the time you get to college, your education is much more your own responsibility. You need to learn to speak up for yourself. If something's not clear, please stop and ask a question. It's been experience that usually in class, if anybody has a question, more than one person has that same question. And so when you speak up and ask it, you're not only helping yourself, but you're helping all your peers. I promise I will never throw anybody under the bus for a question. I honestly think that the only bad question is the question that's not asked. And I don't have a problem with people asking the same thing over and over again, because if it wasn't clear, there's more than one way of explaining things, and I want to make sure that you guys get everything. The only time I have issues is if people ask the same question somebody else just asked because they weren't paying attention. But, being I can't see you, I promise I won't get angry about that because I have no idea, right? So please, please, please speak up for yourselves. Your participation is important. The other thing about not seeing is you folks is that I don't get to meet you that well. I don't get to know you as well. But that's what office hours are for. And also, I am going to call roll every class, take attendance every class, and ask everybody how they're doing, just because, we're supposed to be all together in this. We're supposed to get to know each other. We're supposed to be like a community. So I think we've kind of waited long enough. I've got 22 people in class, and I think there are 23 people enrolled. So I'm going to start taking attendance, and I'm going to ask that when I call your name, you unmute yourself and just introduce yourself to the class. Tell us something interesting about yourself. Doesn't have to be a lot, just is something so that we all get to know each other. So first, and hopefully I've got the right list open here. I do take attendance in Blackboard. And so later as we walk through Blackboard, I'm going to show you in the Blackboard grade book. I believe from the student side of things, you'll be able to click on attendance and make sure that I got the way I have attendance set up is you get full credit if you're there on time. You get half credit if you come late. You get no credit if you're not in class. In terms of that no credit if you're not in class, if there's something that's totally beyond your control, and you get in touch with me and let me know about it, I can put that you're excused and it won't go down as a 0 for you. Otherwise, it will be a 0 for attendance. Also, if there's anything going on in your life that you have to miss a lot of classes, please don't just disappear. Please communicate with me. Please let me know. My theory is all of us that teach at the college, our job is to help you folks pass. And we can't do that if you don't let us know if there's something going on. I think more than anything else, one thing that breaks my heart is all of a sudden it's towards the end of the semester and somebody's disappeared and I hear that, they were in the hospital, they were in a car accident, something traumatic happened and they didn't reach out to me, so I couldn't help them. I couldn't work with them. I think one semester it broke my heart. I lost a student who was one of my strongest students in one of my calculus classes because he was homeless. If I know what's going on, I can help you. And also, please, we know what's going on, hopefully you're all aware that at the college, there are all sorts of services available for you. There's all sorts of community outreach and things that we can do. If you have any need at all, if you let me know, I can get you in touch with the right folks on campus too. So that having been said, let's start with attendance. Aubrey Baylor. And asterisks, I apologize if I slaughter your name. I'm not real good at pronunciations. Aubrey? Yeah. Matsam B?
You could just call me Sam. If it's Mata Sam.
And Sam, how do you pronounce your last name?
Buyan.
Very cool. Very cool. And did you want to share something about yourself with the class?
I guess I work on cars. That's really about the only interesting thing I have going for me.
Oh, okay, all right. I wish I could work on cars. Back in the day, my very first car was a 1968 Austin Healey Sprite. And because it didn't have a computer in it, I could do everything on it on my own. But since they
Yeah, carbureted engine is quite interesting.
Pardon?
It's carbureted, correct?
Yeah, that was a long time ago, that car. That died. I guess because I worked on it on my own, it had a tendency to die a lot. And so in the early 80s, I was prone to hitchhiking a lot, but we won't go there. All sorts of stories. All right, Megan Kostich.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Do you want to tell us something about yourself?
I have a 1.5-year-old daughter.
Oh, wow. So you have your hands full.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully you're getting enough sleep at night by the time she's 1.5, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Victoria Defoe.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Did you want to tell us something about yourself?
I paint.
Okay. All right. I'm impressed with people who have artistic talent, so you just wowed me. Joseph DeLabio?
It's Joseph DeLabio.
Okay.
And my interesting thing is I also work on cars too.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Kyler Engel.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How about yourself?
Good. And can you tell us something about yourself?
I play hockey for the school.
Oh, wow. Wow. So you must be real athletic. I love ice skating, but after about a half an hour, my feet hurt too much. So
I've been doing it my whole life now.
Okay. All right. All right. Are they playing this semester, or has COVID shut things down?
We don't have any games scheduled right now, but we are practicing.
Cool, cool. Okay. Kaya Griffith? Kaya? No. Ellen Irene H?
Hi,
Hi, do you go by Ellen Irene or Ellen?
I go by Ellen.
Okay. And how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. And did you want to tell us something about yourself?
I'm just a full-time college student and I also have a full-time job. That's about it.
And what program are you in? What are you studying?
I'm studying liberal arts.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Alyssa K?
Hi, I'm Alyssa. Hello, how are you doing
Last
today?
name.
Kopczynski.
Cool.
That's why I renamed it. But there's nothing really interesting about me. I'm going for radiology, hopefully if I get into the program.
Hey,
Really good. I'm 19.
that's a great program. A good friend of mine is program coordinator, Elaine. She's great and the program is great. So very cool.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Martin Crana?
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. And can you share something about yourself?
I love playing football. Football's fun.
Very cool, very cool. Well, yeah, how about those Bells? What do you think their chances
Yeah.
are next weekend?
Oh my God. I really hope we're going, honestly. It'd be dope.
Yeah, when they were after the game the last weekend and the commentators were talking. Yeah, I've been a Bills fan since the Jack Kemp era. We'll just leave it there.
Oh, geez.
Michaela McNamara.
Here.
Michaela? Hi, how are you?
How are you?
Good. And did you want to tell us something about yourself?
I'm 20 and I'm applying for the radiology program as well.
Very cool. Very cool. I hope you do well in it.
Thank you.
Bailey Newton.
Here.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. And did you want to tell us something about yourself?
I'm enrolled for welding and I'm opening up a welding and plasma cutting business.
Wow. Wow. That's like I guess a great field to go into. I've heard there's a lot of need for welders. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Very cool. Very cool. Amy Pinero? Amy? Amy, can you hear me? I see a name, Amy. Is that you?
I am muted.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. I was about to type in the chat. Okay. My name's Amy, and an interesting fact is that I'm self-taught at the guitar.
Wow. I am trying to learn how to play the bass, but not trying real hard. So,
Oh,
very cool.
that's cool.
Gabrielle Pedrick? Gabe?
Yeah,
How are you?
good. How about you?
Good. And did you want to tell us something about yourself?
Graduating my first year of college.
Cool. Very cool. Joe Pellegrino?
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. And did you want to tell us something about yourself?
Yeah, I'm 20. I love to play basketball, and I got a dog and a cat.
Very cool. Very cool. So basketball players are usually tall people. Are you very tall?
Yeah, I'm 6. I'm not that tall. I'm just 6 feet.
Oh, Lord, I'm under 5 feet. So yes, you are that tall. Eleanor Phillips.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. Good. How are you?
Good, good. And did you want to tell us something about yourself?
Sure. I really love plants and horticulture. I have about like 20 plants in my bedroom right now, so it's a little bit of an addiction.
Oh, okay. All right. Are you in the horticulture program at the college?
I am. Yep.
Very cool. Very cool. And Carolyn that runs it, she's an amazing lady. So, yeah. Jordan Remick. Jordan?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing very well. Yourself?
Good, good. And did you want to tell us something about yourself?
Sure. I'm a veteran using my GI Bill here. This is my first time back to school in about 10 years, so a little nervous about it, but yeah, that's about it.
Very cool, very cool. Thank you for being a veteran. And my dad actually went to college on the GI Bill way back when it was a brand new thing, so very cool. Joshua Saunders. Joshua, I see that you're there. Can you hear us? Are you muted? No?
Oh, my bad. Yes, I had you last semester. I'll just say some random thing because I don't really at the risk of boring the class. Nothing really interesting of me. Yeah, I think Stephen King's overrated. So there's some random.
Okay. All right. Very cool. Glad to see you. Jason Sorey.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. And did you want to tell us something about yourself?
I'm enrolled in welding, and I would like to be an underwater welder.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That sounds like it would be a challenging career.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Katrina Turner.
It's Katina, and I go by Kat.
Okay, Kat.
And something interesting. I'm enrolled in liberal arts, but I'm transferring to the Rad Tech program soon.
Okay, great program. Very cool. Jenna Valencourt.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. And did you want to tell us something about yourself?
I am studying to be in the Rad Tech program too.
All right. Very cool. And Christo V.
Hi.
Hi, how
good
are you?
morning. I guess something interesting about me is while I like art and music, I have a dog and a cat, and I'll also be going for radiology this year.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I'm glad to have everybody in class. I'm going to just double check and see if the people who weren't here came in. Kayla and Aubrey. No. All right, then if not, what I thought I'd do next, sometimes I have to apologize. I feel like the first half of the first day of class, I don't know how to make it unboring, but I feel that it's important that I walk you folks through Blackboard, the syllabus in my lab's math, make sure you know how everything's going to run. So I am going to take the time to do that. In order to do that, I'm going to start by sharing my screen. And first of all, this is what OneNote looks like. This is how I am going to be giving notes. Every day we'll start with something like this with a current date, the topic that we're going to cover, and the pending assignments. Can everybody read that all right?
Yep.
Okay, if you ever can't, because I know that I don't have the world's best penmanship, one can't believe that I went to parochial school for elementary school, and they let me out writing that poorly. If you can't read it, yell at me, let me know if something's not clear. Next, let's go into the college website. Hopefully, everybody is familiar with the college website. I'm going to go up here to my NCCC and go into Blackboard. And oh dear. That's all I need is that the battery's going on my stylus. Oh, it's taking its time.
It's okay. When I was using for the NCCC website, it's kind of slow too, so I don't know
That's
what's
it?
going on. Yeah, it was a little bit slow, not gonna lie.
Well, it's
just
funny.
the Wi-Fi.
I had Blackboard open on my Chromebook next to me because I was taking attendance in there, because it's always been stressed that things like, attendance and all of that is personal and shouldn't be broadcast to the whole class. So thankfully, I have my own little Chromebook that I use. So I'm going to log in. Hopefully everybody knows their login credentials. And when you log in, you're going to get something slowly that looks like this, that'll have a list of all of your classes. I guess I'm luckier than all of you, because when I look at the list of all of my classes, I'm lucky enough that they're all math classes. Yay, don't you all wish you could have that? And so I'm going to click on class. And when it first comes up, it's going to look a little bit different for me as an instructor than it does for you as students. So I'm going to real quick switch to a student view. And usually I won't switch to a student view, but today I'm going to. If you go to the, I don't know if any of you have been in Blackboard for this class yet. If you go to the start here, I don't remember what I put in there. Here's the Zoom link for the first classes here. I am so torn because during our professional development days last week, we had a meeting with students and they overwhelmingly said that if we used the same Zoom code for the entire semester, it made their lives easier. And I did that at the beginning of last semester, but then I got Zoom bombed. And when we were Zoom bombed, it took about 10 minutes of class time to kick everybody out and send them a new code and reopen class. And then after that, I did use a new Zoom code every day. I guess right now I'm going to start the semester using that same code. And if nothing happens, we'll do that. Otherwise, if it becomes a problem, then I will send a new code every day. Let's go to the course information syllabus and contact information. Because I am going to be teaching from home most of the time, probably the best way for you to contact me is through email. My email address is here, but quite honestly, I don't think typing in email that way is the easiest way to go. Is everybody familiar with Blackboard email? I'm going to go over here to the toolbar on the side, and can everybody kind of see where my stylus is? There's a little ditty moving around. I'm going to click on send email. And over here in this send email, I can send email to everybody in class. If you want to, you can just send email to the instructor, which would be me. I'm going to, for a minute, click on here, select users. If I select users, what you see, and this is available to you folks, you can send an email to anybody in class through Blackboard. You have access. So if you ever decide that you want to form a study group with one of your peers or anything like that, you can use Blackboard email to communicate to them. I would think that this is the easiest way to send an email to me. You can see my name there. I'm going to select everybody, and I'm going to just send everybody an email that says, welcome. And it's going to say, hello. And so hopefully right now, everybody will be getting an email from me. That email goes to your college email. If you do send me an email, please do me a favor and just let me know what class you're in. I know last week, once Blackboard opened, I did get emails from a few students, and I appreciated hearing from them. But I'm teaching 5 classes this semester, and right now I don't know everybody by name. And so if I get an email from somebody and I don't know who it is, I have to do a Blackboard Bannerweb search to see what class they're in. So going back to, is everybody comfortable? I apologize, with the Blackboard email. Again, it goes to your NTRIP email. Hopefully it's been stressed to you a million times over. You should check your NTRIP email regularly, at least once a day. The college went paperless for important documents a while ago. And so any important information that you need, be it about registration and who your advisor is, be it your course, your grades, be it something from financial aid or billing, it all comes to you through your Entrep email. And again, flip side, if anything should happen that I need to cancel class or anything like that, if I can, I'll notify you in advance through the Blackboard email, which goes to your Tiger Wolves email. So always, Thunder Wolves email, I apologize. Always make sure you check that email. Go ahead.
I have a question. For the notes, will that pop up later for like if we do have like any classes with like P1 or P2? Will we get the notes for that study guide, or like I don't know what are the handouts? Sorry.
Oh, okay. The handouts are usually I'm kind of old-fashioned and I give notes without handout. It's been my experience, and I've seen brain studies that say that people retain information better if they write their own notes. I also know that there are some students that through their high school experience never had to take their own notes and are uncomfortable doing that. And so that's why I'm going to post the written documents, so that if you feel like you can't keep up writing wise, just pay attention and everything that I write will be posted afterwards. What's going to go in the handout folder is on occasion, if in doing notes we go over word problems, I don't expect you to rewrite paragraphs of word problems. And so things like that, I will post in there in advance. I will send you an email if there's something put in that handout folder that you'll need for class that you can print out if you want to. Don't use a lot of handouts, but on occasion, for this course, but on occasion, if I do, I will put them in there. Also, later on when we get talking about My Math Lab, your homework will be online through My Math Lab. I know that there are some students, because of financial constraints, that end up not buying the access code. If anybody fits that description, as long as you remind me, I will make sure that I put PDF form of the homework available for you, and I'll put that also in that handout folder. But usually there aren't a lot of handouts. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
SUNY Helpline is here. If you have a problem with Blackboard, please call them. I know that I ended up calling them last semester because it was the first time that I really used drop boxes. And there were certain points in time where I saw that students submitted work, but I was unable to open it. I was on the phone with them for an hour, and they clarified with me. Is there anybody in class who's using Apple products, who's using an iPhone?
Yes. I'm using a MacBook.
Yeah, Blackboard doesn't always play well with especially iPhones. If you're using an iPhone, you want to make sure that you don't just go to Blackboard on the internet and use it, but rather in the Apple Play Store, there is a Blackboard app that you have to have. And if you go through the Blackboard app, there should not be a problem uploading documents. If it ever becomes the point that I see that you've sent me a document and I cannot open it, I will send you an email and ask you to either try resubmitting it or emailing it to me. It's better if you can submit it in Blackboard, because documents that are submitted in Blackboard, I can grade as if I were grading a paper, pencil and paper. And you can also in the Blackboard grade book and click on them and look at them and see the annotations that I put on them without having to save them and email them back and forth and everything. But if you're using an Apple product, make sure you're using the Blackboard app. The other support that I put in there is my MyLabs support. If you have a problem with MyLabs, if you have a problem with the math of it, I can help you. If you have a problem with the technology of it, that I'm not that good at. And I know last semester, Pearson didn't really have a phone bank, but rather all of their support was done digitally through that link. So if you have a problem with the My Labs, you're going to want to go to that link. Any questions on that contact information and help stuff? If not, I'm going to open the course syllabus, and it should pop up here. I don't know if anybody's had a chance to look at it yet. First, my office on campus is C277, but again, I'm not going to be there often. This semester, I am teaching one on-campus class, but it's a night class that only meets once a week. So Tuesday nights I will be on campus, but they want us to discourage too much like face-to-face office hour type meetings because of social distancing. I know all of these COVID restrictions are annoying. I agree with everybody, but I have to keep telling myself they're doing them because they don't want us to get sick and they don't want us to die. It's for our own good, so if it keeps us healthy, it's worth putting up with. Again, there's a link to my email. My office phone number is there. I can check it from home, but I don't that often, so again, email is better. There's a textbook that's available, written by Mr. Blitzer, who actually is a good friend of one of the other people in the math department, Dan Miller. You don't need the paper textbook. You'll see later on when we go through the steps for My Labs that you have access to the digital textbook. However, if you're somebody who likes to have a paper textbook to go through, if you want a copy, you can buy a current edition from the bookstore. However, math doesn't change that much. I have all sorts of back editions at home and in my office. If you want in your hands a paper textbook to work with, please send me an email and I'm willing to share some of my back editions with you until I run out of them. So let me know if you want a paper textbook, but don't feel like so everybody listening, don't feel like you have to go out and purchase that paper textbook. It's optional. Student learning outcomes, basically we're going to look at basics of algebra. If you took an algebra course in high school, we will be, for the most part, reviewing of what you learned previously, and we'll also have a chapter that deals with trigonometry. In terms of course requirements, there will be 4 hourly exams given during the semester. I know that some people give exams during class meetings on Zoom so that they can quote unquote proctor. I know that there are proctoring tools in Blackboard that I can use, but when I sat in sessions on those proctoring tools in Blackboard, I realized that when they flagged something, it was because somebody wasn't looking at the computer screen. And I don't think you can get math just by looking at the problem on the computer screen. I want you to do pencil and paper work. And so the test will be in My Labs, but it's math. You need to do the supporting pencil and paper work. You're going to take pictures of that, and I will show you in a little bit where you're going to upload those pictures to Blackboard. The test will be timed in My Lab. They will be given outside of class time. What I ended up doing last semester was giving everybody a 24-hour period in which to take those tests. Hopefully that will work for everybody. If there's something going on in your life that the scheduled test time does not work for you, if you know you've got a conflict, please let me know and I can make exceptions for you. But if you just miss a test without explanations, then I don't always give makeups. There are 4 exams. The final exam is going to count twice, giving you 6 exam grades. At the end of the semester, I will drop the lowest. So if you miss an exam and get a 0 on it, that will be your grade. A drop grade, and your final will count twice. If you do poorly on an exam, that will be your drop grade and your final will count twice. If instead, however, your final is your worst score, then your final will only count once, giving you those 5 test scores. Right now, the tentative dates for exams are there. I guess because this class is meeting virtually, we won't necessarily have to worry so much about snow days and things like that. But if anything comes up, I am flexible, so those dates aren't set in stone if we need an extra day on one of the units or if we finish early. But if you're looking to schedule in advance, those are the tentative test days. There will be several quizzes given during the semester. The quizzes will also be in my labs. They will also be outside of class time. They will be available right after class, and they will be available up until the next class. And again, I expect that you submit your work in Blackboard. Again, you must, for both of them, submit your work in Blackboard, because for tests and quizzes, the grade in Blackboard is the one that counts, not the grade in my labs. So have I said it often enough? You must submit your pencil and paper work for any test or quiz. The homework will be in my labs. There's a homework assignment for every class, meaning there are homework problems on every class. Sometimes we'll only do, like their first homework assignment has 38 questions in it, and it'll take us a couple classes to get through. But I would strongly suggest you start looking over those homeworks right after class. Usually I give a couple days turnaround between when something is taught and when something is due, so that you have the opportunity to ask questions in class. Participation is an important part of your grade. Honestly, I've never taken points away from people because of lack of participation. However, if somebody's grade is on the cusp, I'm more likely to round up if you're somebody who participated in class. I think I said earlier on that if it's your responsibility, if something is not clear, it's your responsibility as a student to ask questions to let me know. I'm not a mind reader. In terms of COVID policies, this is a blended class. I do expect you to attend every time. However, I am recording classes. If you miss class or if you feel you missed something and you want to watch class again, there will be a YouTube link after every class. A little bit later, I'll show you where they are. And the written notes will also be available separately as a PDF document. It surprised me at the end of last semester that some people didn't watch the YouTube because they didn't want to sit for the whole 2 hours type of thing to see the notes that they missed. I also will have a PDF of just the written word if that's what you need to look at. Tests and final exams and quizzes will be in my lab. However, they're not going to count unless I see that supporting work. In terms of grading, the exams are 55% of your grade. The homework is 30%. The quizzes are 10%, and the attendance is 5%. Letter grades are given by the scale that's given. If anybody decides before the end of the semester that they want to take this class pass-fail, at Entrim we don't call it pass-fail, we call it SU, successful or unsuccessful. In order to get an S in this class, you need to have at least a 65. I know that last semester there was discussion in Faculty Senate that they wanted to make the pass-fail policy uniform across the campus, so that in order to get S, in order to get a pass, it needed to be a minimum of C grade. That did not pass. If that does pass and it becomes campus policy, I might need to change my policy on that. Don't be playing on your cell phone or doing something else on your computer during class. Other concerns, accessibility services. If anybody needed accommodations in high school or in previous semesters, they are available for you. You need to talk to somebody, Steve Burns in the accessibility office, to get accommodations. In terms of if you're somebody who needed a note taker or the course is recorded, The notes will be posted for you, so that should be fine. And the classes will be recorded unless I get into a big argument with the technology. I think 1 or 2 classes didn't get recorded last semester because of technical difficulties. If you need extended time on tests or quizzes, you need to go through the accessibility office and they will give you a form to give me. You need extra help at all, I will show you when we're in my labs how you can get that through my labs. Please feel comfortable making use of my office hours. If you want to meet with me one-on-one outside of office hours, I am willing to do that if there's a mutually agreeable time. If you send me an email, I will try to respond that same day, but usually I don't respond too much after 10 o'clock at night because I've reached that age where I am half asleep by 10 o'clock at night, and you don't want me to reply groggy because it won't make sense, but I will respond. I get up early the next morning. If you want to meet with me one-on-one to go over things as if it were office hours, send me an email and I will send you a Zoom link if we can come up with a mutually agreeable time. I do have to say though, last semester I had somebody who wanted to meet with me at like 8 o'clock on a Sunday night. And I mean, within limits, in my mind, 8 o'clock on the Sunday night is family time. But there's also tutors available in the ACE, the Academic Center for Excellence. There are some wonderful tutors there. There are some great people there. If you need help, please feel comfortable going to the ACE Center. And I think I missed it, but I do believe that if you're so interested, ACE has some available to everybody, and I think they show up in your Blackboard course list. Some study skills classes, some time management classes. If that's something that you feel will help you, please make sure you approach them. But you can get one-on-one tutoring there, not just for math, but for all your classes. Academic integrity policy, don't cheat. If you cheat once, you get a 0 on that test or quiz. If you cheat more than once, academic affairs gets involved. You get dropped out of the class and you might get dropped out of campus. Computer usage, obviously this is a blended class. We're using computers, we're using Blackboard. If you need help with Blackboard, there are some links here for you. Starfish is available. I have not used Starfish too much to communicate with students. I don't necessarily make appointments during my office hours through Starfish because I like to make my office hours available for anybody to drop in on. Starfish is another way in which we can communicate. Attendance is mandatory, and classes are recorded. So I think I made you all aware before I hit the record button that everything is recorded. I'm sorry I bored you by sort of reading that to you. Does anybody have questions on any of that?
No.
At one point in time, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just had a quick question. I noticed up there it said scientific calculator is required.
Right.
I kind of skipped over that. So I am going to have to go out and get one of those.
Let me tell you, I am right now staring at my desk, and don't tell me I don't have one with me. Don't feel the need to go out and get a big fancy calculator. We will not necessarily be using a graphing calculator or anything like that. The calculator that I recommend is a TI-30.
TI-30.
It's a calculator that you probably used in middle school if you used one. It's a solar calculator. It's got 2 lines of display. And I apologize, I don't have one up here with me. You can usually, I think in the bookstore, they go for about $20. You can usually get them from a drugstore or a department store or something more like $15. And I know at one point in time at the beginning of a semester, at like a, beginning of the school year type of sale, I was able to go out and buy a few of them for under $10. They're not expensive. I like that there are 2 lines of display because you can type something in and then hit enter and see your answer. And if your answer doesn't seem right, you can go up and look and make sure you didn't make a typographical error. Also, you can type things in. Usually as they're written, it does read or follow order of operations. I know some of the other models, some of the other makes, you kind of have to use like reverse notation in the way you enter it. But it's not a fancy calculator. It's not an expensive calculator. You do want to make sure you don't want too basic a calculator. You're going to need to use one that has trigonometric functions on it and exponentiation on it and square roots on it. Okay? Thank you for asking. Anything else? Previously, the head of the chair of the division asked that we have a tear off at the end to make sure that everybody has read the syllabus and agreed. Because we're virtual, I'm not asking that you do a tear off, but rather that you just send me an email saying that you've read through the syllabus and that you've agreed to it.
Would you like sorry to interrupt, would you like the email through Blackboard or?
You know what, whatever works for you. The Blackboard email goes to my college email. So you can either send it to my NTRIP email address or the Blackboard email. They all go to the same place. Just like if I send you an email through Blackboard, it goes through your college email to your Thunderwolves email. So, all right?
All right, thank you.
Okay. Now, I have to apologize. I know that the people in distance learning gave us a spreadsheet, that a table that they wanted us to fill out with the course schedule, and I didn't quite use that. I have a spreadsheet that I use, and basically it goes through and it gives you, hopefully it's opening. It's not a very fancy spreadsheet. I have the day of the week. T is Tuesday, R is Thursday, the date, the topic, what we're going to be doing, the assignment, and when it's due. I have to apologize over here when it says due. It doesn't have a due date for that introductory assignment. I have the due date for that as next class because I would appreciate it if everybody tried to do that by then. However, that first introductory assignment is not going to count towards your grade. It's just practicing inputting things into my labs and getting used to it. In terms of the due dates for assignments, when we get to my labs, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, but don't let me get too much ahead of myself. Does anybody have questions about any of this? I know it's not the world's easiest to agree. It's kind of bare bones. But again, these are tentative dates because how fast we go again is also contingent on you guys. If we need to spend more time on a topic, hopefully we'll have the luxury of being able to do that. If we know it already and we need to spend less time on it, hopefully we have the luxury of being able to do that too. So, go ahead.
As far as the exams go, would we receive any study guides or pre-review sheets?
When we're in my labs, I'm going to show you that there is, oh Lord, now I can't remember if it's called a problem set or a preliminary test. There's a practice test that's available in my labs that you'll be able to do over and over and over again. It differs from the homework because in homework you have infinite do-overs on every question. With the practice tests, and you have help functions. With the practice test, you don't have those help functions. And if you do it over, you have to do over the whole thing. So it's much more like the test setting. But there are practice tests that would serve as that review sheet for you. The practice tests will count as quiz grades as opposed to homework grades. But that's in there for you to, so that, and last semester, we ended up having the luxury of the class before each test was considered a review, and we actually went through one of those practice tests together. In terms of the practice tests, again, I strongly suggest you do them more than once because the assignments for this class I did not write. They were written by a couple of other people in the math department a while ago. They wanted to try to standardize this course. And Some of them are pooled questions, so if you take the practice test a couple of times, you'll see that they're similar yet different questions. So if you want to be able to look at all of the possibilities, you do it more than once. But yes, there is a practice test that will be available for you in my labs before each test. Okay?
All right.
All right. Then I'm going to go over here to learning modules and content. I put everything in there. The My Math Lab directions are there, but we're going to go through and walk through it. Over here, there's a folder for notes, and because we haven't really taken any notes yet, there's not anything in there. What you'll find once we get started is there will be a folder there for each unit. We'll have 4 units. In each folder for each class, there will be 2 things that I upload. One will be a PDF, which is the written notes, and the other will be a YouTube link to a recording of the class. So that's where you will find those in that notes folder. Over here, there's a folder submit work. In here, in order to submit work, there will be a drop box for every test and quiz. I know that I could go through the directions for a drop box now, but if you guys are at all like me, when it comes to time to take their first test or quiz, that won't be for a week or so. I wouldn't remember those directions. So I will put the drop boxes in there and walk you through that step by step before the first test or quiz. Is everybody all right if I hold off in going through those directions until we need them?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Then next, handouts. Again, as I explained before, I don't use an awful lot of handouts, but when we get to word problems and things like that, I will put the handouts in there. I don't believe there are anything in there yet. Next, the My Labs math. I know that, just giving you a heads up, I know that last semester there were some people who missed important dates because when they went to see what they missed in class, they only went to My Math Lab. Please don't do that. If you're going to go to see what you missed in class, please first look at the notes because I will put pending due dates and quiz announcements in the notes. When you go into My Math Lab, you're going to get, when you click that link, you're going to get something that looks like this. I always recommend starting with that My Labs Mastering course home. And here I have to apologize. I have not clicked on this yet in Student View because I am hoping the first time I click on it in Student View, what pops up for me is going to be what pops up for you. I have to apologize if it doesn't work that way because I know that student complaints were if the teacher was having difficulty with the technology. Those bugs should have been ironed out. But if I clicked on it the first time, it wouldn't give me what you'd get for clicking on it the first time as a student. So let's click on it. And hopefully what I get is not class, but rather a registration page. Has anybody in here used my Pearson's My Labs before?
No.
No.
Yes, I have.
I have.
If you have, if you've used it for this class, you do not need to buy a new access code unless you only bought the 1 semester access. You should be able to get right into the course. If you've used it for other classes, you do not need to create an account. If you have never used it before, you need to create an account. To create an account, I believe you click up here on register. And you go through and you create an account. There are fields that you need to fill in. When you fill in that registration, let's see what happens if I click on it. Now, actually, it might even be this screen that comes up for you before this. When you fill that in, the one thing that I want to ask you to be very careful of is make sure you type in your email address correctly. You type in an email address that you use. Because we're going to see when we look at the homework in a minute, there's a place in each assignment that you can click on and it says email my instructor. And it sends me the question that you're working on. By the end of last semester, I realized that for most students, it worked easiest if I hand wrote what to do as opposed to typing, and I will attach that PDF and email it back to you. However, if the email address is not right, all of that bounces right back to me. So make sure you put in a good email address. After you create an account, you'll get this screen, and you have 4 options. Option 1, if you've already purchased an access code from the bookstore or from some other source, you can click here and enter your access code. Option 2, you can purchase the access code from My Labs from Pearson directly. I'm not supposed to say this, but I think these prices are a little bit lower than the bookstore. You have 2 choices. For the $104.99, it gives you a year's access. I believe that if you're going to be taking that next course, Math 111, that Advanced Algebra and Trig, the year's access, because it's the same book, it should cover the textbook cost for your trig. Otherwise, if you're only taking this course and you're not taking the next math courses, you can buy the 1 semester access code. Realize with the 1 semester access code, if anything happens and you need to repeat the course, you will have to rebuy the code. I know though there are some people that, finances right now, you can't afford either. If you look down here at the bottom, does anybody see where it says waiting for financial aid? If you're waiting for financial aid, or if you're waiting for a paycheck or anything like that, you can get temporary access without payment for 14 days. So you can get that free trial for 14 days. So I would strongly suggest, unless you're ready to purchase right now, or unless you've already purchased, that everybody, use that temporary access so that you can get started right away. If you use that temporary access, after 2 weeks, they're going to kick you out, and they're going to give you that screen again where you can enter an access code or buy an access code. Excuse me. I have to apologize. It's been since December that I've done this much continuous talking, and I apologize. I know it's boring to hear somebody just talk at you, but in terms of these first day policies, I think you need to hear them. I hope I'm not too boring. So I'm going to click here on yes. And when I click here on yes, it's going to take me right to the course. So,
I have a quick question.
Turn up.
So I did purchase the book at the bookstore. Will it come with an access code, or would I have to buy an access code to have it online?
It should say if it's bundled with an access code or not.
Okay.
Check. If you don't want to keep it, if the book came in cellophane, if it's still wrapped, you can return it for the full price.
Okay, it hasn't come in yet. I'm still waiting for the bookstore to call me back.
All right. Well, if you change your mind and you want to just purchase the access code, I can give you a back edition of the book if you want that paper copy of the book, or you can just get the access code from them. If you're using financial aid, you're best off buying it from the bookstore. If you're paying out of pocket, I think this price is lower. But I don't know how you can use I don't know if you're able to use the financial aid through Pearson, but I know you can use it through the bookstore.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so now I'm going to go to the course. And what I will get is hopefully what course looks like for you. Again, usually when I enter a course, I get the faculty view and not the student view, so this can be a little bit different. So, and I apologize it's slow because, well, actually, I don't think it's necessarily the first day of the semester for everybody. I think there are some SUNY schools that are waiting until February 1st to start. When you go in Course Home, you're going to get something that looks like this. It's got a set of I think where there's a dot, it means that there's an assignment that's due. Let's go here. I'm looking at the toolbar on the side. If I click on homework, it will give you a list of all of the homework assignments for the semester. I'm gonna pick on a random homework assignment. And I have here a list of questions. And I apologize, I shouldn't do this randomly. I'm gonna pick on a random question. And when you get the homework, it's actually looking at MyLab, it's like looking at a question from a textbook. The difference is that the questions are algorithmically generated. So the questions will be the same, but the numbers might be different. So if you're working on homework with somebody else, you might have the same question, but the numbers might be different. Or if you ask me to go over a homework question in class, you'll have the same question, but the numbers might be different. Okay, so it asks me to simplify the given exponential expression. And so what I have here is in parentheses, x to the -7th, in parentheses to the 4th. It says type exponential notation with positive exponents. So I'm just going to put gibberish in here. And I'm going to check my answer. And they're going to tell me it's wrong. However, if I get a question wrong, I can click OK. And they're going to give me 3 chances. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to change my answer. And I know it's wrong. I'm getting it wrong on purpose. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to put in another answer. And of course it's wrong. Now, do you see? It's marking the question wrong. And it says I can go on to the next question. But do you see over here it says similar question? When I press similar question, it doesn't give me the exact same question, but another question that's very close. And so it's like giving me infinite do-overs. You can do problems over and over again until you get them right using that similar question. So did everybody see that if you got a problem wrong, first of all, you get 3 chances at it before they change the question on it. But after 3 chances, if you still get it wrong, you can still get full credit for the assignment by doing the similar exercise. So you have infinite do-overs. That's one thing that I like about the online homework is you know right away whether you got it right or wrong. The other thing that I like about the online homework, does everybody see up here where my cursor is now? It's changed colored a little bit, question help. If I click on question help, there's help me solve this. What that does is it goes through and it walks me through step by step how to do the problem so that you can get help with the problem. Realize if you use help me solve this, because they're walking you through step by step on how to do the problem, I apologize. They will ask you to do the problem again on your own without help to get full credit. Video, they'll take you to a video lecture of somebody doing comparable problems. Textbook, if you click on that, they will take you to the page of the virtual textbook where the content is covered. So it's like having it booked and looking up in the book how to do it. The other one though, the next one, Ask My Instructor, what that does is it opens a field where you can type in whatever question you have and it sends me an email. In that email, it sends me your question, but it also sends me the question you're working on and the last answer that you put in. And I promise I will email that within 24 hours. Hopefully it's within way less than 24 hours. If you email a question, as long as it's before 10 o'clock at night, if you don't get a response within a couple hours, please send it to me again. But I will get back to you with my advice as to how to solve it. The other thing that goes on here, do you see this last option, print? If you've got sketchy internet and you're afraid that you're going to lose the connection, you can on campus or at home print the whole assignment out, or for that matter, if you don't like staring at a computer screen that long, you can print the whole assignment out do it pencil and paper, and then go back and type your answers in. If you do it that way, print it on your own and go back and type your answers in. When you type your answers in, you get those opportunities for do-overs. If you decide not to purchase My Labs and you want to just do the pencil and paper assignments, oh, I'm sorry that you're having problems with the connection. Hopefully it's better. If you're having, doing the pencil and paper, what you'll have to do is you'll have to take pictures of your work and email it to me. And I have to apologize. I'm a patient person, but when it comes to me grading papers, pencil and paper, I don't give infinite do-overs. So, but that is an option there for you. Now, when you're going through and you're doing the home, well, I apologize, I'm talking too fast. Is everybody all right with those question help? Does everybody see where you can get question? Is everybody all right with the similar question that you have infinite do-overs?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna click here and I'm gonna put the right answer in. You know, this answer is gonna be a fraction with an exponent. You see when I clicked on that down at the bottom, this toolbar opened. If there's something that you have to type in that's not something that's real easy to do on a regular keyboard, you can use this toolbar. So with this toolbar, I know my answer is going to be a fraction. My numerator is 1. And then my denominator is going to have an exponent. It's going to, let me undo that. It's going to be X, oops, yeah, I messed that up. It's going to be X, and then to put the exponent on, I'm going to hit here to the, whoops, what happened there? X to the, I hate this touchscreen keyboard, by the way, 18th. And now when I check my answer, I got that right, so it'll give me full credit, even though I got it wrong 3 times before. And it'll go on to the next question. You don't really need to click save. When you hit next question, when you hit enter, if you got it right, it saves that you got it right. It saves your answer. If you want to, later on in the semester, go back and look at an assignment, look at it again, see how you did, redo some of the questions for extra practice. You can do that through the grade book and realize that when you do as an assignment over and over again, it only saves the best answer. So if you got it right the first time and when you practiced again, you got it wrong, don't worry, you still have full credit. It saves your best answer. I'm gonna leave here. I can go back and finish this assignment at any point in time. I'm gonna go back here to homework. If you go through and look at homework, it will show that, I think it'll show that I started the assignment and I can click see score. And right now my score isn't going to be real good because I only got 1 out of those questions right, but I can see my score there. Sometimes over here in this time limit column, it might say past due. If it says past due, it just means that the due date has come and gone. In my mind, even if you don't get it done on time, the practice is important. The only reason I put due dates in there is because if I don't, I know there are students that will leave every assignment until the end of the semester. So if you get it done by the due date, you will get full credit for every answer. If you don't get it done by the due date and it says past due, please still do the assignment. If you haven't started the assignment and you do the entire assignment a day late, even though it says past due and it warns you that there's a late penalty, the late penalty is the best you can get is 97.5 instead of 100. If you did half of the assignment on time and only half of it is getting worked on past due, the late penalty will only apply to the questions that are worked on after the assignment is due. But even with the late penalty, please realize any unanswered question counts as a 0. And anything with a late penalty is better than getting a 0 on it. Also, if something comes up in your life that you can't finish an assignment on time and it's out of your control, and something other than I forgot or I missed it or whatever, but if there's something truly outside of your control, please email me and let me know. I will tell you to do the assignment, and when you finish it, I'll get rid of the late penalty. Also, sometimes if you're working on something way, way, way too late, it looks like it's not giving you any credit at all. I promise that any assignment that anybody works on, I will make sure that you get at least half credit for every question that you do. So at the end of the semester, I'm going to go through and look at, when I look in the grade book, it tells me the assignments that were done late show up in a different color. I will look at every late assignment and make sure that every question you get at least half credit for. Flip side, if you broke your butt getting an assignment done on time and half the class has it late because they didn't understand, I might extend the due date, but I also feel an obligation to reward the people who broke their butts getting the assignment done on time. So before I ever push a due date back to give people more time on it, I promise that anybody who's already got 100 on that assignment, I will raise your grade to 105 and give you extra credit to reward you for having gotten it done on time. So that if you didn't have 100 on it, the extra time helps you. If you do get 100 on it, you will get extra credit for that. But so please, if it says past due, it does not mean the assignment is shut. It just means there'll be a late penalty, and don't be afraid of the late penalty. It's better than getting a 0. Also, I usually don't, until the end of the semester, submit zeros for missing assignments. So some people look at their My Math Lab grade and they think, oh, wow, I've got a good grade and I haven't even been doing my homework. Wrong. At the end of the semester, anything that was not done is going to have a 0 submitted in. I wait until the end of the semester to do that, because once I submit a 0, you can't work on the assignment anymore once I change your grade. And so again, because I want to make sure that everybody gets that practice in, I'm not going to, make the assignment unavailable to you till the end of the semester. But realize also that your grade might change towards the end of the semester when I do submit zeros. That part all right. Tests and quizzes are in here. Tests and quizzes must be done on the date that's done. Right now, I don't think I have any active. The sample ones that are in here, don't worry about. I don't expect you to do those. Tests and quizzes that I write will show up at the top of this list. Grade book. The grade book here is just your My Labs grade book. Over here, you can, after an assignment is done, you can click on review. And when you click on review, it will let you look at what you got wrong, what you got right. And here's where you can go to practice homework over and over again after you've submitted it. The other thing that's interesting in here is if I go to chapter contents, we're going to start looking in ups. I apologize, I did that too soon. I'm sorry. When I go to homework, I'm sorry. If you notice, each homework assignment has this funny thing at the beginning of it. Sec P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4. Those actually, P is the chapter, 1 is the section. Down here, as I look at the latter ones, the first number is the chapter, the second number is the section. So now if I go over here to chapter contents, let's go to chapter P. Let's go to, actually, I apologize. I didn't want to go to chapter contents. Let me go back. Instead, I wanted to go to the multimedia library. I'm very sorry. Erase chapter contents from your memory, go to multimedia library. So over here in chapters, I'm going to pick chapter P. In chapter P, I can pick whatever section I want, P1. And please notice there's options here for you. There's activities, there's videos, there's PowerPoints, anything that you want. So there's extra help in here for you. I'm going to click on the multimedia textbook, and actually that chapter contents was just the textbook. And so now here I can click on that multimedia textbook. And I apologize, you have to allow pop-ups. What will come up is that virtual textbook that's available for you that you can page through. So that's how you can access that virtual textbook if you want to read a textbook and you didn't purchase one. So homework is definitely in my math labs. Tests and quizzes will be there. Tests and quizzes, make sure you do your work on pencil and paper, because while they'll be in my labs, the grade in my labs won't count towards your average. The grade in Blackboard will, and I will grade that pencil and paper work. Again, I'll show you later on how to upload that to Blackboard. Does anybody have any questions on the My Labs? How to use it, how to find it?
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
So I believe before today I had another teacher for math, but then I switched it to you.
Uh-huh.
And I had already purchased the My Lab Access Kit. And is the code going to be the same for your class?
I'll tell you what, that answer I do not know, but let me see who's, I see who's asking the question. Is it E on the screen? Give me, actually, you know what? I'll email your response to the entire class. I will check with somebody if that early access will work, how to get that early access to work, and send an email response, because that's something that I haven't. This is the first semester we're using the early access. Second semester, I know the very semester we were using the early access, I did look into it, and I had people tell me to wait a semester or two to use it because there were all sorts of glitches that needed to get ironed out first. So I did not use early access this semester. I will look for that answer and get back to you. Hopefully I'll get a response before the end of the day. Okay? All right, good question. And I'm sorry that I didn't think of looking into that before.
That's okay.
Okay. Any other questions about the My Labs?
When we do like P1 and P2, you probably answered the question, but I honestly probably forgot. But are we going to print out the actual paper? Like for my other math I did for first semester, if I'm retaking this one, we have to print out the actual notes and then do the homework online. Do we have to?
No, I'm giving notes in class.
Okay.
It's up to you whether you want to take your own notes as if you were in a classroom. If you want to print out the notes, that's fine. I do not have pre-typed notes, if that's what you're referring to.
Okay, gotcha. All right, thank you so much. Sorry.
No, don't apologize. I know that it goes way back. I'm really too damn old, you guys. When I know that early on in my teaching career, when I had pre-done PowerPoints and pre-typed notes, and I was in the classroom going over things that way, I found that, how did I describe it? Students were more likely to get that glassy-eyed look that my children used to get when a commercial came on television. They seemed much less engaged. I feel that if I don't have the notes pre-printed and fill in the blank, it leaves us much more available to have it in our own words that you'll have more ownership of. It leaves us more open to doing, if you think up examples that are more tailored to you guys as a class individually. And so that's part of the reason that, again, I'm more likely to give handwritten notes. And also, again, brain studies show that if you write it out by hand, you're more likely to retain it than if you just read a pre-printed document. But again, if you don't want to take your own notes, they will be posted and you can print them out if you want to. Make sense?
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Just my brain had to rethink.
No, No question's a bad question. I appreciate you asking because I'm sure somebody else in the class was wondering the same thing.
All right.
Any
thank
other
you.
questions on the My Labs? If not, I'm going to go back to Blackboard. My grades. I use the Blackboard gradebook. Some of my coworkers don't because they hate it. I hate it too, but I think there's some definite advantages to using the Blackboard gradebook. One, everything I grade, everything that I put into that gradebook, you can see. You will have access to your grades at any point in time by clicking on that My Grades. I appreciate that because especially when it comes to things that are graded by hand, if you remember a grade being different than one I typed in, please let me know. Also, if you submit that work through Blackboard, you should be able to click on an assignment and get the paper that I graded there. In terms of that, in the syllabus, the weighted grading, there will only be one column for homework because your homework grade is just your My Math Lab grade. And I will update that with your current My Math Lab average every couple of weeks. But again, realize that that's subject to change if there are things like assignments that you didn't do. But any test or quiz, or for that matter, even your attendance grade, you should be able to see as soon as it's there because I use that grade book. So if you're wondering, how am I doing? At any point in time, you have access to your grades. I think that that's important. Over here, Campus Resources Help. Down below, there is a link to give you access to ACE. There's a link to the Blackboard Help. I apologize. I promise by the end of the day, I will put in a link to the My Labs help in that list too. I'm sorry that I didn't get that in there already. It'll be in there by Thursday, hopefully. So any questions about anything policy-wise, grading-wise, Blackboard-wise, My Labs-wise?
No questions.
No questions. All right. Then let me look at my phone. We still have at least a half an hour's worth of class. And this is a math class. So let's, if nobody has questions, let's start having some fun by doing math. Yay. So I'm going to over here open my OneNote for the day. That My Labs introductory homework, that practice homework, if you can try to get that done by Thursday, if you can try to get registered in My Labs and do that. Again, those are just practice, plotting points, entering answers, you know, making sure you're comfortable with the software. Their first assignment is not due until the 28th, which is a ways away because again, it's a large assignment. Probably take a couple classes to go over the content. And I want to make sure that you have an opportunity to ask questions on anything before it's due. But let's start by, I'm going to minimize this. Let's start by looking at some basic definitions. I think any class, we need to start with basic definitions because we all have to be on the same page. First thing I'd like to define is a constant. Has anybody in here heard of the word constant in a math class before?
Yes.
What is it?
It's a variable representing an like the value you're trying to find.
It always represents the same value. I get that you've got the right idea. The only thing I question is that word variable. A constant is, I think, but instead of variable, you mean symbol?
Yes.
It's a symbol whose value is always the same. And so for an example, can anybody think of a symbol whose value always is the same?
0.
0. Beautiful. 1. 2. Whenever we see those numbers, we see the same value. So our numbers are our constants. I'm guessing another symbol that always represents the same value that's an irrational number is pi. Is everybody familiar with pi, that symbol, that constant that always represents the same value?
Yes.
Another constant, has anybody ever seen a lowercase e as a constant?
Isn't that an engineering exponent or?
It's actually, it's Euler's constant. And we're not going to necessarily deal with it this semester, but anybody who's taking advanced algebra and trig next semester, you're going to find Euler's constant is used with natural logarithms. Another thing that we're going to use, a symbol that will always have the same value, is a lowercase I. And we're going to see that the lowercase I is considered an imaginary unit. And so a lot of those few letters will always represent the same value. They will be constants. So if you think something that's constant in life is always the same, a constant is something that's always the same. That's as opposed to here we're getting to that other word, variable. And in life, if something's variable, doesn't it mean that it can change? And so a variable is a symbol whose value can change. And examples, a lot of times letters of the alphabet are used as variables. Everybody's seen that meme, find X, or solve for X, and somebody's looking underneath furniture or whatever. Y, those are variables. A lot of times you see things like N used as variables. As you get older and wiser, you're going to find that there aren't enough letters in the alphabet. Sometimes we'll have lowercase letters, uppercase of the same thing. Variables can be case sensitive. Make sure that if it's a lowercase letter, you use a lowercase letter. If it's an uppercase letter, you use an uppercase letter. Also, at some point in time, the letters of the alphabet won't be enough, and we'll start looking at things like letters of the Greek alphabet. This is theta. And every once in a while, we'll see that we use Greek letters as variables. We're going to find usually Greek letters get used when we start looking at trigonometry. And variables for lengths of sides will be regular letters, and variables for angles frequently will be Greek. But a variable is a symbol whose value can change. So far, so good. Has everybody heard of those two before?
Yes.
If so, that first part of the homework deals a lot with algebraic expression. And algebraic expressions are made up of constants, variables, and symbols of operation. So if I have constants and variables with symbols of operations, it's considered an expression. An expression we're going to find is much different than an equation. If we're given an expression, usually there's nothing to solve for, it's just an expression. Examples of expressions might be something like 3 plus x. Another example might be something like 2y plus 4. And current state of secondary education, I'm going to go on the assumption that a lot of you have seen things like this before, but on the off chance that anybody's forgotten, I'm going to ask, is everybody familiar with the idea when I have the 2 and the y written together with no symbol in between, it means multiplication. So 2y would mean 2 times y. Usually we don't want to use that X symbol for multiplication anymore because it looks like the variable X. So it means that we're multiplying when two things are written next to each other. So far, so good? Then, next, if I have something like 4x squared y plus z over 3x y z, is everybody familiar with the idea that that fraction bar implies its division? We're going to see
Yes.
this as the numerator divided by the denominator. And when we get into more computational things, and we start talking about things like order of operations, when you're evaluating a fraction by doing division on a calculator, make peace with that parentheses button on your calculator. You want to put parentheses around the numerator before you hit that division and open parentheses around the denominator. And I don't know if that's something that folks have heard before or not, but be careful in terms of order of operations. Another thing that we might see is something like x to the second. And hopefully everybody's familiar with the idea that if I have something superscript, it's an exponent. And that exponents mean repeated multiplication. So for example, if I have something like b to the n, b is called the base, n is called the exponent, and when n is a counting number, it means that I'm going to multiply n factors of b. So for example, if I have something like 8 to the third, what does that mean?
It's 8 times 8 times 8.
It means I'm taking 8, beautiful, and multiplying it by itself 3 times. And so when I take 8 times 8 times 8, what do I get? Anybody?
512.
512, beautiful. One thing that you have to be careful of are sign rules with exponents. And again, I apologize if this is something that you're all familiar with and you all know, but it's something that I think needs to be stressed because it's easy to forget. If I have something like -3 to the second with the parentheses, that means -3 times -3, and negative times negative would be +9. That means something very much different than if I would have written -3 to the second without parentheses. If there are parentheses, it means that I'm multiplying that negative number by itself. If there are not parentheses, it means I'm taking the negative of 3 times 3, which would give me -9. And so you have to be careful when you're raising a signed number to a power. if everybody could take their calculator, if you have one with you, if I asked for -2 to the 4th, the way that's written, it means -2 times -2 times -2 times -2. And so when I multiply 4 negative numbers, I'll get a positive. And 2 to the 4th is 16. If you didn't put that parentheses in with your calculator, you would get -16. And so you want to make sure, if you're raising a negative number to a power, pay attention. First of all, are there parentheses around it? Are you really raising a negative number to a power? Or if there's no parentheses, it means we're just raising the number to a power and taking the negative of it. And realize that if those parentheses are there, you need to type them in when you're using your calculator. Is everybody comfortable with that parentheses key on their calculator? Open parentheses, put your number in, close parentheses. Any questions? If not, the next place that I'd like to go, which again, I think is something that y'all might be familiar with, but let's just make sure that we're all starting on the same page. And let's talk about that order of operations. And I have to say, this past semester, I was shocked. This is a total aside story, I'm sorry. My nephew, who went to school in Florida, he went to college in Florida, eventually became a doctor, and he's a very intelligent young man. But he just posted something on social media that it blew his mind, that he never realized that in math classes he got something wrong because the order of operations had been taught to him wrong. And it just blew my mind. So I just want to make sure that nobody's on the same page as my nephew and that we all got that order of operations the same. When I say order of operations, is that something that you guys have all heard of?
Yes.
Yes. All right. How do you know them? Do I have any PEMDAS?
Yes.
Okay. I am
PEMDAS.
all people who can use things like PEMDAS to help them remember, because not going to lie, you're going to find out through the course of the semester, spelling is not my strong suit. I'm not real good at spelling real words, let alone made up words. And so instead of PEMDAS, I learned it as, has anybody ever heard, please excuse Meister and Sally. Does that one sound familiar to anybody?
Yes.
I've heard of it, but I don't really understand it.
It's the same as PEMDAS. If we take the first letter from each word, it's PEMDAS.
Okay.
Another one that's sort of fun, I'm going to just give you one more. Has anybody ever heard of purple elephants marching down a street? That's sort of fun.
That's a new one.
A little more colorful. And again, they all say the same thing. They're all little memory aids to help us remember our order of operations. And so now that we've got all those silly sentences out of the way, or that funny word PEMDAS out of the way, let's make sure everybody knows what it all means. Each of them begin with the letter P. Can anybody help me remember what the P stands for?
Parentheses.
Parentheses, beautiful. And it's that idea that we do what work inside the parentheses first. And then, once you get into more involved problems, you might see something crazy like parentheses inside parentheses inside parentheses. When you look at something like this, the parentheses should match up. Sometimes different shapes are used to help you match them up, but not always. And is everybody familiar? If you got parentheses inside parentheses inside parentheses, you do the innermost parentheses first and work your way out. So for example, if I have something like 3 times 2 plus 4, order of operation says that the first thing I should do is that work inside my parentheses 2 plus 4. So that would be 3 times 6 or 18. Parentheses, all right. If so, next letter that we have is E. And can anybody help me remember what E stands for?
Exponents.
Beautiful. And so we do exponents next. We do them as they come from left to right. So let's say that was 3 times 2 to the second plus 4, and then I'm going to get all crazy and put a, you know what, I'm going to put another 2 there. I don't want numbers to get too big. Order of operations here says I start inside my parentheses. Inside my parentheses, I'm going to do my exponents first. So 2 to the second is 4. Then inside my parentheses, 4 plus 4 is 8. And then I've got to do that other parentheses. 8 to the second is 64. And 3 times 64, I think, is 192. Somebody please check my arithmetic. Okay, everybody all right with that example? If so, where my nephew went astray was the next letter is M, but the M is quickly followed by a D. And MD is all one step. It means that I multiply and divide in one step as they come from left to right. And that was where my nephew had learned it wrong. Please remember that, my dear, MD is on one step. Multiply and divide both in the same step as they come from left to right. So for example, if I have something like 4 times 3 divided by 2 plus 9 divided by 9 divided by 3. Well, I take that back. I'm going to change it real quick. 9 times 3. I'm going to do the multiplication and division in one step as they come from left to right. So 4 times 3 is 12. And then the next thing, I'm going to divide it by 2. And then do the next multiplication before I add. And likewise, after you see the D in PEMDAS, next you get an A, but the A and the S go together. It's all one step, and it should be your last step, unless of course they're in parentheses, to add and subtract in one step as they come from left to right. And again, this was where my nephew Matthew was taught incorrectly. Addition and subtraction go together as one step. Don't separate them. So for example, if I have 8 plus 7 minus 6 plus 4, I take them in one single step as they come from left to right. 8 plus 7 is 15. Then 15 minus 6 is 9. And then I add the 4 to get the 15. Addition and subtraction are all in the same step. Okay, and I have 3 minutes, which gives me time to do one more example. Let's say I have something that asks me to simplify. And I have 2 parentheses negative 2 minus 4 parentheses negative 2 over 5 minus 8. What you have to be careful of is if it's written as a fraction, that's a rational expression, which is written as a fraction. Remember that there's parentheses around the numerator and parentheses around the denominator. So actually, when I see that, I see parentheses 2 times negative 2 minus 4 times negative 2 over parentheses 5 plus 8. Especially if you're using a calculator, you want to make sure those parentheses are visible. Fully simplify the numerator, fully simplify the denominator before you begin. So inside parentheses, these parentheses match up. There's parentheses inside, but those aren't used to show order, but rather just to show I'm multiplying a second number. There are no exponents in the parentheses, so I'll do the multiplication. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Minus 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. After I multiply, I'm going to do that subtraction. Negative 4 minus 8 is 4. Then my next set of parentheses is in the denominator. 5 minus 8 is negative 3. So that gives me 4 over negative 3. Now I want to look at that 4 over negative 3. Does everybody notice there's only one negative sign in that fraction? And here we have a little bit of artistic freedom. We can write that as 4 over negative 3. If we want to, we could type that in as negative 3 over 4. Or if we want to, we can type it in as the fraction negative 3/4. Frequently, they ask you to write your answer as the ratio of integers, which means I am stopping there. I want to leave it as a fraction. Do not change it into a decimal. Don't change it into a mixed number. Just leave it in the answer that asks you for a ratio of integers. A lot of times people have the answer right. They pulled the calculator out and changed it into a decimal. And, you know, it won't be accepted because of that. And I must have taken too long talking at the beginning. Is everybody all right with this if I stop sharing my screen?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I apologize if that was boring. Am I going too slow, or is this level of refresher useful?
I
This
find
is
it
very useful.
Very useful. Yell at me if I go too slow for you guys. Yell at me if I go too fast for you guys. Because
Okay, I will.
I am here. It's my job is to help you guys get math. And if it's too fast or too slow, I'm not helping you. Okay.
Excuse me. Excuse me. It's a little. I mean, I need more of a refresher than that.
Okay. All right. Are you free right now? I have an office hour right after this class.
Yes.
Okay, then, actually, because it's an office hour, I'm gonna ask you to log out and log back in, but if that's ever a need, I'm available that way too. But when I'm doing something, stop me if you need me to explain it more slowly. Okay, honey?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any other questions on anything?
Good, thank you.
Okay, hopefully I didn't scare you away too much, and I'll see you all Thursday morning. Again, if you have questions, I have an office hour right after this class. I also have an office hour from 9 to 10 on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Or send me an email if you have any questions, and I will try to look into that early access question and add that My Labs help link before we meet again. All right? Have a good
Alright.
one. Bye.
Thank you. Nice meeting you.
Nice
Take
meeting
care.
you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, bye.
And I should, whoops, did I stop recording already? No, I didn't. I have to stop recording. Huh? It's not letting me stop recording.